Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Grassroot Chats. Play to the whistle. After 4 weeks of not actually talking or speaking to anybody, me and the rest of the lads are back in the studio. Big Steve, the angry one, Big Dunk, Mr. Hinder. It's been 4 weeks. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing good? Dunk, how have you been?
I've been good, thanks, JJ. Yeah, not too bad.
Alright,
Enjoying
Mr.
the hot
Hinder?
weather, man. Whew, roasted.
Of course. Burn me,
Yeah.
burn me. Mr. Hinder, how have things been going?
I mean, it seems really weird seeing so many faces on my camera, on my screen. I feel like I've just
Okay, well, you're used to just
usually
seeing
just
one?
one-on-one, man. Those pay-per-view chats, they were just one-on-one, right? There's never this many.
The angry one, still angry or happy? All right, and Big Steve, welcome back. How are things going?
I can't complain. I'm good. I'm good.
Man. I'm in the road
Okay,
today.
ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you like what you hear, what you see, please hit that red button. Follow us on all our socials at grassrootchats.com. All our content can be found on www.grassrootchats.com. And of course, please subscribe, follow, and, just support the wonderful Grassroot Chats. Let's go straight into it. Right now, we are going to talk about the toxic scene at Manchester United. And after that, we shall have a look at the transfer window and how things have been going for most of the clubs. So, as Man United is always one of the best topics in the house because this guy is just, beat and keep beating. So, it's a very simple question. I'll start with you, Big D. I'll start with you, Big Dunk. There are loads of problems with Man United, and then over the few weeks that's been happening, everybody says it is the fault of the owners. Do you think that is the primary problem?
I can't believe 4 weeks off and we're just starting talking about a dead club. Like they're washed. Like what? Oh, do we think the owners are the problem? I guess like there can't be like that much smoke without fire. You look from the outside. I mean, they do invest, they do buy players. There's all the like allegations there that they just drain money out of the club, but the amount of money Man U have spent, like I can't see that's got to be the main problem. Like they have spent money and they have bought players, and even if the owners have taken money out of the club, doesn't seem to be to me the reason that they're not challenging for honours. I think it's just the way the club has been run. I don't think Woodward was particularly good in his role, and it's probably a good thing that he's left now because some of the signings were pretty atrocious on big money as well. And it just hasn't worked out with the managers they've been in. I don't know if any of them have like massively openly spoke about like what the actual problems were in the club, but you can't see like there has to be something running in the background that all of those managers have had the same kind of failings and not been able to get those players firing.
Well, a lot of people will probably say it's not the fault of the owners. However, if you're talking about structure and process and things not going properly, clearly the owners should look and go, whoever you put in the job or whatever is happening is not working, and they should have a restructure or at least hire the right people. What do you think, Big Steve?
Yeah, I think what they've done since Ferguson left is tried to get a quick win and gone for managers that can get them quick results, quick fixes, get them back to where they were. But I think now they've got to a point that they just have to go back, pick someone, Ten Hag, have faith in him and give him a good long run and allow him to build a structure in this club and have an ethos. Because at the moment they're just all over the place. What style of play do they do? Who's their main players? It's all over the gap.
I mean, for a man that likes to point fingers at the hierarchy, Big Steve, especially when it comes to your club, you're talking about structure, but the structure doesn't start from Ten Hag, though. It should start from the top all the way to the manager, not from the manager upwards. Don't you think?
In Man United's case, because their owners don't appear to be invested in football, it's going to have to be slightly different. So the manager will have to have that identity and be the one that is the face of the club and carry the club. In terms of that, they haven't got their owners are from America. They're not. It's a business. Yeah, it's a business.
Well, the angry one, looking at all the managers that have come since, first of all, since the Glazers came in, there have been some success with the latter parts of Fergie's time. There has been some success. And then Dunk mentioned that they have invested, so it's not like they've been really tight. Man United has invested probably more than most clubs in the Premier League, even after Fergie left. So if it's not the owners, them saying it's business. Dunk says they've invested, but they've had David Moyes, Ryan Giggs interim, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ole, and of course the wonderful Ralph last season. Is it still the fault of the owners, or is it the structure, is it the process, and of course player accountability? Where do you point your finger at?
You can blame the owners from a point of view that they've employed these clowns basically to come and do the job. You can argue that, but ultimately they're not the ones picking the team, picking the players, picking the managers per se. It's a total shambles. Let's be honest. There's no direction. They're not sure how they're going to play. They've tried to do a Chelsea, in my opinion at least, tried to do a Chelsea. Oh, it's not working. Change the manager, but they're not Chelsea, and they were living in past glories to begin with anyway. So it's Ralph is the epitome of everything that's wrong with Man United. Some geezer no one's ever heard of, really, was never heard of. He's coming to be an interim, so everyone knows he's an interim, and then halfway through you said he's going to go up, then he doesn't go up. He goes to do something else. Come on, what's going on? Shambolic. So now they got Ten Hag. They've got a blueprint.
I'm always and will always be a great supporter of Oli.
We know that
improvement every season until he got sacked. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that follow us on Grassroot Chats, you will know about Neil's Rails. And on Neil's Rails, the man said Man United was a dead club. Yes, Mr. Hinder, Man United a dead club or in decline?
I mean, you can look at a couple of things. When you look at the business sense of it, and so Man United are two things. You've got to take maybe the brand, and then you've got the footballing side of it. I think we're all in agreement that they spent a wedge of cash over the term. I think it's like $1 billion or something since Fergie's left. So the money that they've been spending is Man United money. So that's not really the problem. They've not backed the right people at the right time, which is probably the biggest problem. Not backing Mourinho was an issue. He left, and then the wheels came off the car and it went slowly downhill. Picked up and then went back downhill again because they had the same players. There's only so many turds you can polish, right? And they're papering over the cracks. They weren't looking at actually making that team any bigger. Now, if you look at the brand, Man U have been pretty decent apart from this year. Now they're in massive decline. Their share price is the lowest it's been ever, I believe, since the Glazers have taken over. So financially, this is going to be an interesting find to see what the Glazers actually do, what they've been riding high. I don't want to say it's embarrassing for United, but we've got to be bordering on the embarrassing, the fact that they can't even sign a player. Like, this transfer window has been an absolute joke, right? They got their man early. We all agreed that he came in early, left Ajax 6 weeks early, I believe, to come to United. And now I think the most exciting thing they're going to get is Eriksen potentially for 200 grand a week. 200 grand. I can't believe Brentford offered anywhere near that, right? I can't believe they offered anywhere near 200 grand. And if he's choosing between...
Different negotiations at the time, though. He was coming back from injury.
No, I'm on about for now.
Let's see how good
so there's no way that Brentford offered 200 grand a week to keep him and Man U offer 200 grand a week. So the draw of Man U is now this. Money. So now we're getting to this point of view of them being just a money club. But when I was a kid, you'd go there for like prestige. You'd go there for, are they going to win something? They're a club about it. But now they're competing with Newcastle. They're just cash.
Good that you mentioned that. In terms of prestige and the culture and all that structure, does that primarily come from the owners straight down? Or is it something that gets embedded with every position before you get to the manager?
Well, the ethos,
who actually puts that?
The ethos of the club, right? Of you, we've all worked for a company that is giving you some crappy mission statement, right? Of what they live by and how they work. But Ferguson was the blueprint when he came in and made the blueprint of Man United. I'm not saying they weren't successful before, because they were, but they weren't as successful. And he had complete trust, and he earned that over the period of time that he was there with his signings. I'm not thinking that they need to get somebody in and go, right, this is everything that we're going to do. The fact that they've got Ten Hag and he's only looking for players from his old club and Dutch players, for me is a slight worry. They don't even want to go to them. But they need an ethos through. So he says, right, we're going to play 4-3-2-1, right? For example, it could be 4-4-2. I don't care what formation it is, but that's the formation. And then he goes, right, this is the way that we're going to play. We all know that the Man United fans and will want attractive football, right? but results are going to be ultimately the most important thing of his tenure. Are they going to go, right, you know what, put in some decent football, put the ethos in, and we'll give you 3 years? Or is it going to be results? And like the angry one said, they're another Chelsea, and then he's gone by Christmas because actually the ethos is slowly coming in, but there's no results in there. So it's going to be a hard one for him to bring in something completely different, but it needs to be ground up or up, down, all the way through. They've all got to believe in whatever project it is. We've been saying it for Arsenal all the time, believe in the project. If they're not buying in at a club level, then it's pointless, but it has to be everybody playing that formation and whatever he wants to have.
So Dunk, in terms of, I had a Man United fan message the Grassroot chat Instagram saying that
was
Ten Hag
you.
will fail. No, it wasn't me. I can't message myself. Ten Hag saying that Ten Hag will fail, and that there's nothing that's going to actually happen that's going to do to improve Man United. One of the things that Mr. Hinders mentioned is last season was really poor. Compared to other seasons, it wasn't as bad. Do you think Ten Hag can turn things around, at least on the pitch, and will that actually affect the structure and the process and everything going forward? Big Dunk?
No, he's got to really. Like you can't go much lower than they were last season on the pitch. Like they were woeful, even in some of the games they won. So you'd probably back him to do that, get something going on the pitch and get some positive vibes going. But yeah, again, they've got to back him, like Neil said. This has got to be the one where they back him and give him time, no matter where they are, like in the league or the results, unless like the performances are absolutely atrocious. I'd also agree with Neil as well. It's really worrying that he's only going back in for his old club and Dutch league players. Like surely there's a bit of a scouting network. They could, try someone else out, but they seem to be like getting ridden now over Martinez, the defender. They keep telling them there was a battle with Man U and Arsenal for 35 million, then Man U are 43, and now they're telling them they got to up that. So it looks like Ajax aren't going to be being played for any mugs anyway. They know where Ten Hag is going and they're ready for him.
Well, to see, ladies and gentlemen, how these boys love Man United and are saying, old Ajax players don't want to come. Man United has made one signing from Feyenoord, which is now a player that has played for Ten Hag before. And yes,
I only said Dutch players.
No, you said former players. Two different
Dutch,
things.
Tony.
However, Big
Dutch
Steve,
league, right?
the question I want to ask you, though, is you have mentioned... So people talk about projects and Man United, they can't even get players in this transfer window. Is it that Ten Hag is taking his time? Man United have let go of 13 players. Dean Henderson is on loan, but everybody else has been released or sold. Is it that Ten Hag is going, let me look at my squad, taking his time a bit, and then with time, because Man United is not the only team that's bought only one player. So why is there so much, or is this just based on what happened last season?
No, I think he's come in and there's still no strategy there, because if he's coming in to really change Man United around, I really did think that Man United were going to do a double header in Ajax and get Van der Sar in as well as a technical director to work with him to change everything around the club, because it's not just about the manager. They've tried that and they need more than just the manager. They need him working in partnership with someone. Alex Ferguson, yes, he was very good, but his partnership with David Gill is what really made Man United successful. Yeah, Ten Hag can't come in and do it on his own. Yeah, so he's struggling to get players in because what are they coming to do? They're going to have to pay over the odds for players. Yeah, the vision is not clear with Man United, and they seem to be doing it the opposite way. They're letting players go before they get them in. If you look at all the other clubs, they're getting players in before they release the players that they don't want.
I mean, there were some players that were obvious that were going to go, and they've all gone. In terms of the angry one, so Ten Hag would have come in and possibly had his list of players that this is who I want. Now, most clubs, every club knows that Man United is desperate, so they'll start the price money keep going up. Is it a case that, do you think it's a case that he has identified the players he wants, then the structure or whoever's doing the deals at this point in time is not getting it over the line? So is it a case of, I've done my part, I've told you who I want, just get them in?
Heard a couple of things. First of all, with regard to how it's all been going with Man United, the difference between, say, example, a Man United team and a Chelsea team, and trying to buy, just get players in. Chelsea had a successful team, full stop, and then whenever the manager didn't perform, they just changed the manager. Man United predominantly have a bit of a whack team, let's be honest. Yeah, but every time things went wrong, they just changed the manager and didn't change the players. So nothing changed. So now we're getting to a point where they're getting rid of 13 or so players, to clear the deck, so to speak. But Ten Hag knows how he wants to play, or he should do. Otherwise, what's he there for? So by now, they should be getting in a few players, or have rumours for getting players other than the players that he knows. Because, like everyone else said, they've got a scouting system. The fact that they haven't, he doesn't take that long for him to have a look at his squad over 3 or 4 weeks to work out this guy's good, that guy's not good. I need this guy in. He should have had targets by now because he was appointed before the season started. So I don't know what the hell they're doing, but to be honest, long may it continue. To be fair, guy could stay as a shambles. By now, we should be seeing 4 or 5 players in. Other teams have been doing it because he knows that he wants to play a 4-3-2-1, whatever he wants to play. He knows he trusts that guy, even if it's a guy that he knows. Fine, okay, so be it. Where's the guy? Get him in and let's get moving. But at the moment, it looks like you're just waiting, like they've kind of in limbo. I'm not sure what the trigger point is.
Good that you brought up Ronaldo. Ronaldo is not part of the Man United preseason squad because of family reasons.
Strange.
Mr. Hinder, have we seen the last of Cristiano Ronaldo in Manchester United?
No, I think he'll come back at some point to watch a couple of games. When they're successful again. I don't think he's going to be coming back anytime soon to watch them play. I don't blame him. We'd all be going, if he's in his prime of his career, he should be playing at the best club in the world, right? He should be doing this, should be doing that. He's only got a few seasons left. I mean, that might be 10 now in Ronaldo, and the way that he'll keep looked after his body. 8 of those might be in France. But he will continue to play football, and quite rightly so. He wants to win stuff. I don't even think he thinks he's going to get a League Cup or an FA Cup at United because it's not on their priority list of winning. And he deserves, for his own career and what he's done in that, to play at a good club where they're competing for, the Champions League, the title. That I think it's got to the point where he knows they're not competitive for the title. And I think that's probably his really major concern of going, you know what he's had a few weeks now, six weeks. He hasn't signed anyone. We don't look like we're playing someone. Why am I not getting somebody in to challenge me for my game? I'm old, right? He's got to be thinking in his head, I'm going to show that youngster that I'm better than him, and that's why I'm going to be playing. It's a mind thing. But they haven't got the competition for him. He could probably be injured and still walk into the team with one leg at the moment. It's that worrying that they're not doing any business at all. They've let Dean Henderson go. I mean, I don't know if that's kudos for them for giving Henderson a chance to actually go and play football, or the fact that they're now looking for another goalie. But why keep him last year? Why floating around of like he was never going to play, was he?
It's one of them cases that the guy, Big Steve said the guy was done, but the guy was one of the star players last season that probably came by United. Yeah, you said it. You said the guy was finished. It's this. He can't kick.
I said he needs a new challenge. That's what I said. And
the
don't
challenge
be
was Dean
surprised.
Henderson.
Don't be surprised.
Dean Henderson.
Don't be surprised. The fact that Dean Henderson is now gone out on loan, that his form could dip because he hasn't got a proper number 2 to challenge him.
Oh, what are you on about? They're trying to buy the Ajax goalie.
We shall see. We shall see. Till it happens. But I mean, going back to Ronaldo though, and what Mr. Hinder said, he's looked at the team and gone, I mean, with all my goals and everything I did, we couldn't even finish in the top 4. And this season, we're not buying anybody. Now, for Ronaldo himself, Dunk, and wanting to win titles, I mean, realistically, apart from PSG, maybe Chelsea, who do you think he can go to? Who do you actually see him going, okay, you know what? I will end up in this team. I will start, compete for titles, and still have at least 2 or 3 years where I can win stuff.
Like there's not many options for Ronaldo, like that could afford him or go somewhere where they'd have the ambition to win a title. I mean, the last two I saw mentioned were Chelsea and Napoli. Like, I don't know if he's going to end up there or whether they could afford him. Or there's been talk about Barcelona as well. That would be a bit of a contentious one. Maybe if they didn't go for Lewandowski, they went for Ronaldo now that he's available.
A reverse of Luis Figo. Reverse of Luis Figo. Just go for Madrid.
So like you can't see many options where he can go. Like he can take a wage cut, but like he'd have to take a monstrous wage cut for a lot of clubs to afford him. And how many clubs in each country are challenging for the title? There's only like 2 or 3 in each country that are really up there and got realistic chances of going for a title.
Do you think
there is talk about Bayern Munich?
Yeah, Munich would be one of the things because they'll have a lot of wages when Lewandowski leaves to go to Barca. Do you think the money side of it is important for Ronaldo as much now as winning something? Like, he's still going to be on a really good wage regardless, right? He's not going to be on the Man United money he's on, but he's still going to be on
I think for him it's the money. He gets so much money off outside of football that he could take a hit
Champions League
from
football.
the club itself. That's why I'm surprised he's not going back to Sporting Lisbon now.
Can you imagine his OnlyFans account, man? That would be off the hook.
That's the thing. It's whether he sees whether he wants to challenge for Champions League or just
surely he's going to want to play Champions League in the twilight of his career. That's why he's
competing
leaving.
for the league. Because if he's just competing for the league, Sporting Lisbon, they're not going to compete for the Champions League. But if he wants to compete for Champions League, then it narrows who he can go to considerably.
Well,
I think it's Champions League, mate.
And if they could afford him, and I know people talk about the massive hit, but going from 500 to 10,000
3 or 4 teams in each league.
How low can you go, though, especially if you're Ronaldo and having
he's at United, he can't go any lower.
Charities,
Juventus,
and the charities and all that. He can't. Sheffield Wednesday. He could go to the dirt. Yeah, he could.
And he'd win something.
Champions League.
I mean, the angry one,
go to Spurs,
since you managed to escape nowhere in the Tottenham jersey since Gareth Bale went to the MLS. It is kind of luck, though. I mean, it is.
I didn't escape. I knew I was right. I didn't escape.
Do you see Ronaldo going to the MLS?
I was relieved, man. Damn. I was relieved big time, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, but if we're talking about, people not being able to afford him,
MLS,
Champions League, he might not get
not yet,
it.
though. He's still got
Could this
2
be
years
it?
in him.
Could this be
so at least
making that move?
But if you're going to go MLS, you might as well stay at Man United. What's the difference?
Yeah,
it's a dead league,
if you...
The whole point is going to play Champions League football.
I know the Champions League.
Was he going to play basketball?
Wait.
Raptors.
One second. One second.
You can't
I'm
play
very
them.
happy for you, but my question is...
Newsflash.
If he wants to play Champions League, none of the Champions League teams are going to get him or buy him. Because according to what they're saying, they can't afford him. So you might as well just go to MLS and retire. No, that's what the rumor. No. Say what I'm saying. Don't say what I'm technically or what you think.
Nah, man. Bro, technically. So what you're saying? Sorry, I get it right. You're saying that Man United.
How did I say that?
Man United is the
also, he's been linked with Napoli.
Basically,
They're in the Champions League next season.
Then he's going to retire in MLS.
Yeah, but there's talk about
that's what you're saying.
There's talk about them not being able to afford him.
Yeah, well, we all know that no one's going to afford 500 grand. No one's paying that in this current climate, right?
Yeah,
we've got
all he wants to do is play
war on,
Champions League.
and we've had COVID, so wages are lower than they would have been before. But he'll find a club and he'll be on good money. There's no two ways about it, right? And his shirt sales alone, he'll probably end up taking 20% or something ridiculous. And I take my kids to football and everyone's wearing a bloody Man U shirt with Ronaldo on the back. And I'm like, they haven't been good since you guys have been born. Like, they're like kids are 7 or 8 years old.
You take your kids to go watch which football game that everybody's wearing Ronaldo?
To play football.
Oh, okay.
What? In the championship?
We've had no football on TV. You realise I can't sing into a game that doesn't exist.
They play for Swindon, JJ.
Oh, play. Oh,
okay. Just checking. Big Steve, I'll ask you this question, though. Is there a chance he will play this season? I mean, there is a chance, but do you actually think he will play for Man United this season?
I think he might end up at Chelsea. Sadly,
I'd love that.
I think because Chelsea need a striker. In the fact that Lukaku's gone, and that might be a quick deal that they can turn around. And if he can If he's got no allegiance and he doesn't care about offending Man United,
that would be
he'll make that move. But I can't see him staying at Man United because I just think for him there's too much indecision. It's not clear what they're going to do. If he could give them a season or two, and it's going to help them on the road to becoming great again, then I think he would do it. But I just think for him it's too unclear as where they're going.
Too much responsibility on CR7. He doesn't want it. He did it last season, so there's a possibility we might not see him. Well, according to Mr. Hinda, he might come and watch a few games at some point.
You think too much responsibility on him? Like 500 grand a week, and it was too much. No. It wasn't. It was the fact that everyone else was rubbish.
Yeah, because everybody else was rubbish, and that's why it was too much responsibility on a 37-year-old, regardless. He did, but according to what everybody said, if it was just about 510,000 and he just chilling, he'll stay. He won't complain.
What else is he supposed to do?
He'll be fine.
Give him a cuddle as
but
well.
He was still responsible. Everything was. We all knew if Ronaldo wasn't having a good game, it was done. And whether you like it or not, that's too much responsibility.
Who's your top scorer?
There are 10 other players on the pitch. Come on.
I think there's a personal element to it as well. Like that must have been he's still one of the top players in the world. That must have been really embarrassing for him last season, like to be one of the best players in the world and playing that team with those performances. And then he got grief in the media as well, saying, "Oh, he might be the problem," because he's a big ego. I think that there's a personal element where I could see like he definitely wouldn't come back to Man U, and like Steve said, I could see him going to Chelsea, someone like Chelsea, maybe stay in the Premier League and just prove a point and say, watch this. Like you've done me last season. You put me in that team and I scored 18 goals and I'm still getting all this grief. I'll show you.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Well said, Big D. Thank you. I always like it when Big D talks because, man, the angry one never says anything back. Neil keeps quiet.
I'm just excited about it.
Thank you.
I'm just excited thinking, did he get a TOTS card? He got a TOTS, didn't he?
Oh, he got a TOTS. He got a team of the year, a team of the season, shapeshifters. He's birthday. He's had them all, Neil.
But even Messi got a TOTS card, didn't he?
Okay, the FIFA talk is back. But, ladies and gentlemen, we shall move from toxic Man United and go into the transfers. And I like how Steve mentioned Chelsea and Ronaldo possibly going there as a striker. Lukaku has gotten his wish back to Inter Milan on loan. So now, Lukaku, that was supposed to be the missing part, the final part of the puzzle, has gone. So now Chelsea also need another striker. Now, the talk is, Sterling doing a medical, should be a Chelsea player anytime soon. Does that buy make sense to you, Big Steve? Or, considering the players that they already have, the midfields that they have, does that,
No,
does it make sense to you, Big Steve?
It doesn't make sense to me. From the player's perspective, I thought he would have taken a bigger challenge in terms of going abroad, because I'm sure he would have got interest there. There was rumours about Real Madrid, Barcelona, even Bayern. But for Chelsea, I don't understand that move, especially, yes, he will get goals, but he's not the target man type, which Lukaku was. And the thing I have about the Lukaku thing is that Tuchel actually said that he was the missing piece. If it was a different manager in, then I could say you're going to change the style of play. But the whole situation with Lukaku under Tuchel, again, I'm not 100% clear on where Tuchel's going. So, yeah, Sterling will get you goals, but they still need a striker to replace Lukaku.
Well, the angry one, Chelsea have been trying to steal every other person's buy so far in the transfer window, just waiting to steal. They haven't brought anybody in yet. But with the players have lost, defenders, Christensen, Rudiger, and with Sterling coming in, do you think Tuchel has a different approach, a different format he wants to use? Or, we've seen it work that a team wins the league without a striker. Could it be Chelsea next season?
No, but I don't think Sterling's a replacement for Lukaku. I think he's a goal scoring winger because, let's be frank, they've got names in the team, but the wingers don't score goals, or they're forwards, whatever you want to call them. They just don't score goals. So I disagree with Steve as per usual. That does make sense to get Sterling in if they then go and get an actual front man. assuming that's how they want to play. But they had a front man last season and they didn't go through him. So I think they're still going to go and get another striker. But Sterling's better than all their forwards combined, to be fair. He'll score more goals than all of them combined. So, and for 46 mil, that's worth it. They do need to address their defence, to be honest, because they're losing.
Okay, they've been linked to Ake.
Centre backs, and they don't seem to be replacing them, nor linked to anybody in particular.
That says it all, ladies and gentlemen.
He started off at Chelsea. He started off at Chelsea. And don't forget, just because you're a squad player at Man City doesn't make you a bad player.
No, I mean, it was injury and all that, killed him, kind of, in the sense that he wasn't getting into the team, and when he did get injured or maybe have a tiny bad game. But Mr. Hinder, since you're a professional, Spurs listened to you and got Bissouma, you called it. So, and if the angry one is saying that there could be the possibility they get Sterling in and they still go for a out-and-out kind of striker forward, who do you think they should go for?
I want to agree with the angry one on pretty much most of that sentiment. I don't know what Steve's smoking, but I want some of that later, Steve, because there's no way they're buying Sterling to go at top as a replacement for Lukaku. But their front three, it was misfiring for the whole season. Imagine if Sterling was in that team last year, they'd have been way more competitive at that point. He's got proven Premier League. I don't know why he would want to go abroad to play. Like, why would he? Like, I think the challenge for Chelsea is a really probably quite refreshing from my point of view. Seeing somebody leave Man City and stay in the Prem of a decent club doesn't usually happen. They usually end up only having English players that don't play, and then getting rid of them to some nomad team or them retiring as a bad situation. For Sterling, I think it's a great move. I think he'll be their first team player. I mean, he banged in 13 last season, 10 the season before that, 20 the season before that, 17 and 18. So he's getting some good goals, and that's just Premier League goals. So we're not thinking that he's not going to help. Do they need another talisman up the front? Yeah, of course they do. But everyone's after the same players, right? There's only a certain amount of decent players that could play in the Prem that would be good. But can you imagine him and Ronaldo? Imagine him learning off Ronaldo. That's only good for English football, of him playing with that caliber of player. If he gets in the box a lot more, that would be really good for Sterling, because he scores way more goals when he's in and around that box, and he's making those darting runs. Don't forget, I've got a World Cup coming up as well. So for me, him going there, I think it's going to be great. They need to stop playing two number 10s though. That's what they need to do, and go back to a top three or two strikers. They need something with that firepower. They've got some wit somewhere at the moment with Werner. I mean, Werner's still a decent football player. He might come decent with other players around him. That's some pace up there, though. You've got Werner and Sterling. That's a rapid front line.
Werner, Sterling, Pulisic, Havertz.
Pulisic is dead.
All what Chelsea have done this transfer window, yeah. What leads you to think that they're changing it? And also,
they just signed Sterling.
You said you mentioned
they haven't signed him yet.
Pretty much.
You said Sterling playing with Ronaldo makes him a better player. Sterling playing in a team like Real Madrid or Barcelona, doesn't that make him a better player?
I just said to you, why would you leave to play in those games? What I don't understand why everyone thinks, I play for Barca or I play for Real, I'm the best player in the world. Nah, man.
No, I'm not saying.
What's that going to do to him?
Look at Gareth Bale as an example.
Well, let's look at McManaman. How well did he do out there? Owen went out there.
They did well.
McManaman did all right.
Yeah, all right, yeah. But he didn't think he was the best player in the world, was he? Sorry, go on.
But also the Prem's the best league in the world at the moment. So
yeah.
So in those days, yeah,
I mean, based on what Mr. Hinder and the Anglo is saying, if you look at
right now, Prem's the best league in the world. Why
QPR, Liverpool, Man City, and if he goes to Chelsea,
sunbathe in Madrid.
The offer of Chelsea, I think, was the best for him. I don't think going abroad will make. I'm not saying it will make sense, but I think with all the options he has, Chelsea to me is the best. However, I still do agree with Big Steve though. If he goes to Madrid and goes to Barcelona, he's still going to be a better player.
Yeah, but where does he? He doesn't get in. He doesn't get in that Real Madrid team at the moment.
He doesn't. You don't think Sterling can walk into Real Madrid or Barcelona?
Why is he a better player?
He doesn't.
Why is he a better player when it's in inferior league?
It's going to have Reece James in the centre of the park, remember?
Why would he be a better player when he's playing in the inferior league? But he's playing
JJ, I think you might be on to it where you said about they might be looking at a change of system, because don't forget they're in for Rafinha as well. And so if they get Sterling and Rafinha, I think they'll be all right with Havertz and Werner in the middle. Like I think they would be. I think they might be looking at a change of system, bringing in more width, and even like we said, if you stick Ronaldo in the middle of those two, happy days.
Are they looking for a change of system or a change of personnel to suit the system they already have, Dunk? Because it could be a case of I have a system, I just need the players to suit it. So if you get Rafinha and you get Sterling, and you get rid of Havertz and you get rid of Werner, do you think Tuchel will actually change
I think
the system?
it's a change of system because what did he have out wide last season? Pulisic on the left and Ziyech on the right? Like they weren't major players.
Yeah, they used to interchange.
Yeah, they weren't really major players for Tuchel in his system last season. So I could see it being a slight change of system. Like I said, if you got Sterling and Rafinha like on the flanks, that's some serious deliveries, and they're going to bring goals as well. Both of them getting double figures for goals.
It's got to be a change, hasn't it? Because he was playing 3-4-3 initially, so you're never having the wide man at the top. They're all coming in with Reece James playing out wide beforehand, and Chilwell, wasn't it, before he got injured, was playing out as the other wing back, stroke winger, whatever they were playing. So then you make the front three really quite narrow. So he's definitely looking for a change. Go on, Steve. Sorry, man.
No, I was going to say, I said about he has to change it. The concern about going to Chelsea is that it's the same manager, and he had a plan and players last season with Lukaku. So not unless he's going to drastically change that, it doesn't make sense going for Sterling because they need other surgery. If he's going to change it all,
you're like the little devil on his shoulder, aren't you?
see.
Every time he makes a decision, you're like Lukaku.
yeah, he shouldn't have done that.
Lukaku.
Exactly.
just remember the Lukaku situation.
We shall see what happens. Oh yeah, and of course, to end it on Chelsea though, and Sterling, whether you think it's a good buy or not, the angry one. Do you see Lukaku coming back to Chelsea after his 1 year loan, and getting right into the team, playing with Sterling?
Nah, man, he's any guy, mate. Trust me, that guy's gonna score. That guy's gonna score like 55 goals in that dead league, and he will stay there. He's waste man. He
can hack it in the Prem, just couldn't hack it in Chelsea. Could hack it in the Prem.
Stay there. You can't hack it in the Prem.
No, but hacked it in West Brom,
and then things get a little
Everton.
bit tasty, and you bugger off.
Yeah, of course, it's got 5 goals
So-
Well,
the
you didn't hack it
smaller
Man
clubs.
United either. So
against Man United.
He scored 5 goals against Man United.
Yeah. Cool. What a player.
Oh, that's
Yes,
harsh.
and just before you say, "Oh,
5
Man United
goals.
is a dead team," it was a season that we won the league. Just saying.
So how's that?
He
a
couldn't
barometer of how good you are?
hack it. He couldn't hack it in Chelsea, but
So
he's
just 'cause
clearly
he's
shown
got-
that he
what
can
is
play
every
Premier
good
League.
Yeah, he definitely
Okay,
played at
I
Everton.
understand.
He was pretty decent at He got goals at Man U.
If the show's not the manager, he comes back. If the
Where? How? Yeah, Everton was good, but big boy teams. But big boy teams, it looks like it looks like so far the 2 teams he played that are big teams, title chasing teams. He didn't look like he
Well,
could hack
if
it,
we're
or didn't
looking
want to.
at the
Maybe he can
2
hack it
teams that
and just couldn't be
I
asked with
think
it.
most people expect
No,
to challenge for
he's
the
not here now,
title,
so
Liverpool and Man City.
a
So
lot for
looking
me.
at the transfers, Man City going into it very early. So they didn't have a striker, and everybody about the striker talk. They've bought Haaland now, and Fernandinho left on a free, and they've bought Calvin Phillips. Dunk, let's start with you. How did that buy feel?
It's fine.
how did
You
it
could. We knew it was going to happen. Like probably talking about the fee. Maybe, I don't know. Probably could have got a bit more money for him. He had 2 years left on his contract, so. So, as a Leeds fan, I don't think anyone begrudges him, and you could see him moving on. He's in the England team. He doesn't want to be playing relegation battles or lower down the table. And if you get offered a team like Man City, fair enough. And we're investing that money that we got for him. So, yeah, it's fine from our point of view. And we've discussed Haaland before. Like, I was saying he's a banker in the Premier League to absolutely stuff a few goals away for Man City. He's going to be getting service. He's a top striker. My money's on him to easy 20 plus, no bother.
Mr. Hinder, do you think Man City with this? I mean, they have 3 buyers: Haaland, Ortega, and Calvin Phillips. But do you think there's still some more needed just to make them even better than they were last season?
I mean, Haaland makes them an infinite amount better than last season. some players you can't replace. Phillips is a great sign-in. It's great for him on a personal note. He'll be set up for life now. And not that he wasn't earning good money before, but he'll be set up 6-year contract. Job done. Like as far as him and his family are concerned, which is nice. He will only improve as a footballer, working under Pep's stewardship. The slightly better quality of players, no disrespect to the current Leeds team and stuff like that. But there's a point where you move on because they're not progressing. So he's got that move. I think that they'll probably sign maybe 2 more. With Sterling going, that will release up a little bit more money. They want to make sure that they're going to get players out, I think, before they get anyone new in. Like if they get rid of Ake and Sterling, that's another 70-80 million into the bank before they spend that. And I think they will. I think they'll probably end up buying maybe another fullback because they like to buy fullbacks. They'll probably buy another centre back as well. I think that's probably where they're needed most. They've got enough competition everywhere else, and I dare say they probably got a decent youth team somewhere as well that's producing some decent candidates to come through. So for as far as I was concerned for City, it was how do you improve on such a good team? And it's not just we're going to get 5 new faces in. You have to get the players that are going to fit and work right. Like Haaland's work ethic and everything I've seen from him fits that mantra. He doesn't just sit back. He's not lazy. He's got phenomenal pace as well. He's explosive. And when a player like comes up like that, regardless if you can play with a forward or not, you just change because you've got that, right? You've got that in your locker. So you just change. There's not many amazingly world-class players that come about in everyone's lifetime. But when you get the opportunity to sign one at a snip of a price, like even the Phillips deal, I know it wasn't massive. It's not massive money, which is good news for Phillips. He hasn't got a big tag, but they spent 107 million for those 2 players. I think it is something stupid like that. That's great. I mean, that's just brilliant business for City. Like, I don't think there's going to be a better transfer, bit of business. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for the new season for them.
Good transfer window, good transfer buyers for City, and of course, the angry one. Let's talk about your wonderful
before
love
we
for
move
Liverpool.
on. Before we move on, does anyone think that Phillips moving to Man City is a risk on his England place? Because how much game time is he gonna get behind Rodri at Man City?
I'm the host. I'm not allowed an opinion.
No, that's to the rest.
Are you asking? Are we going to make predictions?
Yeah, I'm asking.
I think he's going to probably play 63 minutes in the first 3 games, and then after that, I think he's going to get plenty of football. They've bought him for a couple of reasons. One, he's English, which really helps with their quota. So regardless, that definitely has to be signed. But actually, he's a decent player, and he's got a good work rate. He was always a stalwart in Bielsa's team, and when he got injured, Bielsa the whole team went downhill. So his work ethic, I think, will see him into that. Whether he's as good as the other players, I don't know. But when you look at that midfield 3, there's not the energy that Phillips has got. Phillips has definitely got more energy than any of those.
So do you see him playing alongside Rodri as a 3 instead of in place of?
No, Rodri.
So it's not a choice of Rodri or.
I think he will play with Rodri.
Okay.
I remember.
Him.
Was it Big Steve that said Phillips wasn't world class or potential world class? It was him. Okay. So
and do you remember me saying he wouldn't leave for somewhere washed up like Man U or West Ham, and that he was going to go to a top club? Do you remember me saying that?
What? So just because he's moved to Man City, he's automatically become world class now. I can't remember me saying that. But
let me just ask this though: is he? So they lost Fernandinho. So they have in the middle they have Rodri,
Gundogan,
who plays there again. Yeah, that Gundogan is getting older, but Phillips should be a starter, shouldn't he? The angry one. He should start for Man City.
It will be. He will be. Also, can I just say, I'm loving the way Man City is disrespecting the league anyhow. Just selling the rivals players. Yeah, have him. I don't care. Arsenal, have Jesus. You can't do nothing. Go on, take him. Chelsea, you want Sterling? Go on, take him. Who cares?
Now that you've said that, let's move to
it's refreshing.
Liverpool, a team that we know you love.
Fergie days and Mourinho
They have
days.
but Fabio Carvalho.
they're dead.
Hey, I'm the host. We'll talk about Arsenal when we want to. So, talking about Liverpool.
Well, hold on, about Arsenal. We jumped my team for.
Nunes, we kind of know his story. The English league is always very difficult to blend in. So the angle between everybody believes Haaland has, the talent to make it. From what we know about Nunes, do you see him struggling at first? Do you see him just blending into the team? Do you think Klopp will make it kind of easier for him?
I think that Liverpool are very astute with the players that they buy. So, whatever Nunes pedigree before is a little bit irrelevant, I think, because they picked the right players based on the last two that they got, which was Jota and
because he
Diaz.
is.
I mean, nobody thought Jota was gonna, and also Jose, you think that Jota's world class, so you can't say anything about my point. Yeah, there you go. So, but nobody thought that he's gonna have the impact he had at Liverpool when they bought him. Okay, maybe you did, and Diaz is too. So I think, I mean, based on their history, I think he's gonna do bits, as they say. To be honest.
Okay,
That's
thinking about
because of the way that Liverpool, they don't just randomly.
One of the things I was
buy
asking
players.
Big Donk in terms of
pick the right player.
personnel to
I think
fit
you have
a
a good
system,
impact.
and as the angry one has said, Liverpool always do that. They know how to get certain players to fit their system. Fabio Carvalho, Nunes, Ramsey. Losing Mane though, how big do you think that will be? Do you think we're just going to forget Mane very soon, and Salah signing a new contract, everything looking nice? Do you just see it as business as usual for Liverpool?
Yeah,
No drawbacks.
I think they won't miss him at all. Like what they got Diaz, they got Salah, Carvalho's come in. I totally agree with Mike there. Like Liverpool are really astute, and they spent what's Nunes 80 million, something like that. Like you're not going to drop that kind of money unless you are absolutely 100% sure that is the player that's going to do the job for your team. If he was like a 30 or 40 million player, then you might be like, well, might be some question marks over, like you said, is he going to hit the ground running? But no, like Liverpool aren't going to make those mistakes, and they don't. They like get most of their transfers right, and I think he's, like Mike said, I think he's going to come in and be absolutely fine and start banging goals away.
Big Steve, do you think Liverpool is done in the transfer window? That's it. They have the players they need. We're good to go. New season, bring it on.
I think they may dip in for a couple of squad players. Depends on who they let go. Because there's question marks over some people like Oxlade-Chamberlain. Are they going to hang on to him and stuff? But they may just bring people in for numbers. Because 5 substitutes next season? They're still going to be challenging on all fronts. So they need the numbers. So anyone that they let go, they may do some cheap deals to get people into bolster the squad.
I mean, considering that Liverpool and Man City have acted, quick in the transfer window, Mr. Hinder, who do you think has had a better window so far based on the buyers that they've had?
I mean, it does't matter who else Man City signed. You sign Haaland, you've got the best transfer window that you've had, short of losing Edison on a free and about 3 other players on a free. It's a no-brainer. Liverpool, I think Klopp's biggest concern last season was the pure amount of games that they played, and he wants to win everything, wants to be ultra competitive. Jota has done perfectly well there, and I don't think Nunes is necessarily a replacement for him. I think it's an addition. So they've got, when Jota's out of the team, you've got someone as good to come in, or when the Nunes is in the team, Jota is as good to come in. I think from that point of view, it's what I agree with Dunk 100%. Mane won't be missed. I mean, he'll be missed from a point of view from the fans of he was a good player, but I don't think that they would have let him go if they really wanted to keep him. He would have stayed. Signing Salah, extending his contract. They've extended Joe Gomez's contract and a few others as well. So they're looking to do their business quite early on. I'm not sure they signed many other people because Liverpool have predominantly been quite tight in the transfer window. In all of them, they don't spend massive amounts of money. I don't remember the last time that they were in the hundreds of millions. So with the players that they've signed already, they've got to be close to 100 million. I think with Ramsey and Carvalho, I don't know if they were like 20 between them. But they're quite young, the other two. So I like how Klopp goes about it by bringing in the youngsters. He'll bed them in nicely and slowly. They'll get exposed to first-team football at the right times. Like Big Steve says, 5 substitutes is massive now, but that's also really good for youngsters coming into the Prem. And I think that's one thing that we should embrace, the fact that if these substitutions are done right, you should get a lot more exposure to some some Premier League action from that point of view, rather than just being you're on the bench, you're not going to really start, but you're on the first team. At 5, you know you're getting to the point where you might come on for a few minutes here and there and actually get some first team football. So that could be a really good thing for the whole of football from that point of view, and embedding in youngsters rather than just sending them out on loan all the time.
So
and I think the big question here is, sorry Jay, the big question here is, are we going to have 5
There has to be, because when you start the new game, you got to use those crappy goal players with like 60 stamina. So,
I need to know.
There has to be.
Dunk, do you know? Have you heard anything?
FIFA, please, can you please come to Big Dunk, the Angry One, and of course Mr. Hinder's Rescue? Just endorse them or something. Just give them whatever you guys give to each other on FIFA. However, look at that. However, with all the insults of calling him Lacano goals, he's left. Aubameyang, he left earlier on. Eddie was like, I'm leaving, but I'm not. And he's staying. And then Jesus has come in from Man City. Arsenal have gone for Fabio Vieira. Porto, Matt Turner. McInnes. Good buys, early buys. Big Steve. Top 4. Yeah? The Arsenal?
Too early to say, mate, to be honest. If we look at, have we improved on last season, what we had last season? Yes. But it's about how those players come in bedding, as well as how other teams settle and bedding, mainly Tottenham. So it's going to be interesting to see which team beds in their new signings and has an impact.
So with Ramsdale, number 1, the talk of Leno going to Fulham, or he already gone. And so the goalkeeping situation seems to be okay. You have 2 good goalkeepers now. I don't know who the second goalkeeper for Arsenal is.
Signed him from the MLS.
The great MLS. But now the question is here, though, the angry one, with the players, the players that have come in now, and with compared to how last season went, do you see yourself going a bit further? Do you think Arteta will get it right? You are a big critic of Arteta when he got it wrong. But with this bias, do you see yourself having a better season? You aren't you the angry one?
I thought we were just building this up and he was having a really good think and speech.
Sorry, who are you asking? Oh, so I didn't hear that part. I was busy thinking how come... No, sorry. No. I was thinking, why have we got that Matt Turner geezer when Spurs got Fraser Forster for free if he's only a backup keeper? But anyway, no, I don't think... for me, so far,
So are you saying it's underwhelming because of the comparison, or just because of what Arsenal are buying?
To Spurs and everybody else's. But I mean, Jesus is a good buy. I'm enjoying that. I think both.
Was he at the vending machine?
I saw him in my gym.
Because the guy looks like he's never been to the gym in his life.
So what? Do you know what I mean? Matt Turner, do me a favour. Yeah. Like, the guy was doing
spinach.
Did you just say so what about Vieira? Wasn't he like the player of the tournament, the European under-21s?
An assisted bar. That says it all. He needs to eat some.
You know they've only signed Vieira because they've gone to a search engine of all the old players' names. He was the only one that came up that was looking half decent.
So what? Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah is like under 21's all-time scorer or something. So what? Anyway, so Fabio Vieira, I mean, you never know. He might turn out to be like the guy at Man United. What's his name? The guy looks like a rat. What's his name, Jay? Yeah, him. It might turn out to be him. Maybe Matt Turner, backup keeper anyway. Who cares? Jesus, okay. So really, you're not thinking, that team's going to take you to top 4. But I mean, on the other side, you could argue that team's going to grow and move. But that's
looking at that's kind of the Arsenal. They're a little bit. I don't want to say a little bit limp, but they're not strong purchases. Do you know what I mean? Right? Like Jesus was a no-brainer, yeah, because I think he can either play left, right, or up top. to be honest. And I think that's a good addition to the
you'd
to
know,
most
wouldn't you,
teams in the Prem. Obviously, City having their clear out of players that they don't think are up to the standard that they do want. But you've got Saliba coming back, young player of the had a decent season in France, right? I heard Torreira's coming back. And
Torreira
looks
back.
like he's going to be playing some football, which he was decent before they had that falling out or whatever went on. I'm not really sure.
No, he said he wasn't happy in London because he didn't have any family.
Okay, well, get a girlfriend.
That's not family.
Well, it is if you get married.
It's not family.
That is family, right? I don't go, oh, yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, the thing is, was it Fiorentina?
It is for the night.
To make it a permanent buy. So at the moment, it's kind of like he's staying at the club, but we'll see.
Exactly. So it's not like we're not...
So I don't think it's been that inspiring, which I think is the unfortunateness of Arsenal. I think they needed to go out and maybe buy a couple at least. Nketiah on 100 grand. I don't know whether I just feel insulted to the whole world of football that's happened, or he's going to get a chance next season. Thoughts, Big Steve?
He's the number 2 guy in it, so let's see what happens.
Number 2, you sure they're not going to try and play them together?
No, I don't think so. I think
play them together doesn't mean Eddie doesn't play from the wings or play on the wing. Anyway,
What
but the question I do have for you, Doc, is
then to play Eddie up
front.
So
Eddie came into form towards the end of last season. Jesus also came into form towards the end of last season. Eddie got the contract. Jesus gets signed. Now, do you think Jesus has like a lot to prove, considering the fact that, it was a Man City, they kept saying there was no striker, and now I've come to Arsenal, and people are talking about he could play anywhere up front, but I'm sure he just wants to play in the center when he comes to the Arsenal. And that's one. Does Jesus have loads to prove? And two, with Eddie, with the 100 grand I just mentioned, I didn't even know that. So did they sign him to be number 2? Or do you think Arteta has another strategy that nobody has seen yet?
So on Jesus, I don't think he's got anything to prove. Like, I can't remember what he's got. Pretty good stats from Man City with the amount of games he played, like the goals he got. Like, so I don't think there's anything to prove. There's not really a case of that. It's not like he was marginalised like massively at Man City. He probably would have liked more game time, but he's proven that he's a good Premier League player who can score goals. Nketiah, like, Arteta's obviously got some faith in him if they're giving him a contract like that. Again, if you're cynical, you might say like they were stopping other clubs from getting him. But you can see him when he came to form at the end of last season. He should play more of a part next season, I would say. And like on Arsenal as a neutral, I'd be way more positive than these guys, miserable bastards. Like I said when we were talking about Arteta's transfers last season, I like the way he spends his money. Like, he's buying youngsters and he's buying proven players as well. And like you guys never seem to factor that in. Like, if you buy youngsters, they get better. Like if you bought wisely and they get the experience in the Premier League. All those youngsters that got game time last season should be up a level this season. Like,
Pepe never got better.
he wasn't a youngster, was he?
Yeah,
he wasn't an Arteta signing. Not an Arteta.
It doesn't matter.
Signing.
He never got better. That's what I'm saying.
You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Leeds almost got relegated. He never got better. All of these signings, all of these young players that he played, he played them by accident.
You do have to play, obviously, the youngsters with more experienced players.
Until he couldn't take
if he can bring them through, do a good job of it.
And then Saka turned out to be better. He's playing Saka left back at one point.
So,
come on.
Dunk is quite thinks Arteta is doing well.
He wasn't playing Martinelli for ages.
The other guys don't. So now,
I didn't say he's doing bad.
Apologies,
I'm all right
Steve.
with his transfer so far.
So you're all right.
We all agree that
I think he can add. I think he could add a couple more. He needs cover.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Who should he add? And that question goes to Hinder and the angry one because they think they can do better. So I'll start with you, Big Steve. Who else do you think they should get?
I would like Shevchenko, or preferably from Man City, because he wants to play in the midfield, but he can also cover at left back. And who else? No, he wants to play midfield. He doesn't want to play left back at Man City.
What? So he
doesn't want to play left
he's
back.
come to us to play midfield when he's a left back. Like what?
No, he wants to move, and he wants to play midfield, whichever club he goes to.
So he's going to tell us where he's going to play, and you think that's all right?
He plays nationally. Nationally, he plays in the midfield for his national team. He plays in the midfield.
He's a left back though.
Say again?
But he's a left back. You can't just tell people I want to play midfield
for Man City, but he can play midfield.
Where does he play for his club?
I don't understand your point.
Where does he play for his club? Where's he play for his club? Right.
No, he's a midfielder who's being used as a left back for his club.
I understand. My point is that he's a left back. I don't care where he plays for his national team.
Oh God,
he's a left back.
But actually, to settle this, you'd have to check if he's out on Football Manager.
He's a left back, guys. Come on, let's be honest. Where is he on FIFA? Where does he play on FIFA? Let's end this conversation now. Where does he play on FIFA?
But yeah, probably Zinchenko, as I said, because you need
okay. Next week we'll check that.
Sorry, Big Steve. Sorry for the angle and cutting you out all the time. The angry one. Who should your team buy since you think it's underwhelming with the transfer window so far?
If we're getting Shevchenko, we're getting him at left back, Steve, first of all. Yeah. I want to, what's his name? Is it from Leon?
Who?
Paletio.
Did you make that name up? What was it?
If we're going to go and get Tielemans, I personally don't want Tielemans, but...
No, but the other one, you said like Paletio.
Let's get a midfielder in. So I don't know why... Tielemans? What's his name? Yeah,
Paqueta. You had him in FIFA. Jesus Christ.
Lucas Pauleta. You think he plays for? Is it Lille or Leon? Who does he play for? He's Brazilian. We've been linked. Paqueta. That's it. I can't pronounce his name. That's it. Paqueta. Sorry, I was calling. What did I call him? Paqueta. Yeah, I think he's a good player. But I think we need another midfielder. I think we need actual striker. Well, if Jesus is going to be our striker, then.
And can I just ask the Arsenal boys, like, if you're underwhelmed, like, where would you expect Arsenal to be or to be challenging for? Is it like third place? I
don't think we're going to buy anybody in the middle.
No, but like, if you're saying like, if we got all those players from those signings, where you'd still only be expected to challenge him for fifth,
unless Jesus has a mad one or Vieira.
Okay, Mr. Hinder.
Oh no! If we've got a few more players, then
Ronaldo. I heard he might be on a free. He'd do all right there. I think Rabiot from Juve. I think he'd be decent there. I believe that they might be trying to get rid of him as well. I think that would be a decent signing for most clubs.
I
think Barcelona and Real Madrid have signed every other free player that's known to man. I think
apart from Diablo, he's still about. No one's grabbed him. Dybala, sorry.
Okay, Dybala would be a decent signing. Martinez would be a decent sign as well. I think they could probably do with a couple. They definitely need another fan signing. I know it sounds really bad, but actually sometimes to get the fans excited is good enough as it is. They can take a while to bed in, but you get that excitement and that generates a buzz around the library. So that would be pretty interesting from that point of view. They do need to clear out. They've got so much dead wood in that midfield of players that aren't good enough that will be competing. I'm not saying that they're not good football players, but they're not the level they want to be at. If they're looking to give second, third, fourth, they're not going to win a title realistically. They need to really heavily invest in the midfield. Saliba coming back is a sign in itself. If he comes back and plays as well enough. Guendouzi's left, unfortunately. That all went sour, didn't it? That was a shame because he's actually a fairly decent football player. Naby Fekir. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. I don't want to swear. That was my key element on that one. I think he'd be a decent sign-in. When you bring in top quality players, that brings the dressing room up as well. I think we go, they couldn't get this or they couldn't get that. Just getting some really good quality players will give a buzz, and it will also make other players' game a bit better because it's a bit stagnant. I mean, they've got rid of Lacazette, they got rid of Aubameyang. And now you're left with, and I don't mean it in a disrespect, because I'm sure they're all way better football players than me, but you're left with Martinelli, Pepe, Nketiah, and Saka, but they've all been together for quite a while. So actually, there's no excitement. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we haven't got this guy. They're all going to start. So there's no really, like, look at Man City. They just sold Sterling, and like everyone said, like they didn't care they're sending him to. But sod it, he's gone, right? He's not our player anymore. We're selling to whoever. Let's get in who we want to get in, and that's excitement for the players. They're going to be like, you know what, we've signed Haaland. How exciting is that to be on play with Haaland? Calvin Phillips must be absolutely licking his lips at that prospect of putting a 50-yard ball that's 60 yards in front of him just to watch him run after it. Like, there's going to be excitement, but that's the buzz that they're going to have at City, and I think that buzz at Arsenal is definitely needed. I'm not saying sign some old geriatric player, but they need to sign some players that get the changing room excited, galvanize everybody, and bring them in. At the moment, they've all been together for quite a while, and they've not achieved kind of where they want. And I don't think they can all bring themselves up to achieve that without an external influence. And I think that's the key element.
Don't you think?
No, I don't think.
So don't you think that the Hayes? Don't you think that Jesus is that kind of sign?
No,
he's coming from.
I think Jesus is a no-brainer, but I don't think he's that type of signing. I think I'm not sure that he's got enough about him as that type of player to bring everyone up. Martinelli, it should be much better than he is, right? I think he hasn't really progressed at the second part of the last season at all. Anger wanted him to play at the centre of the park, and I probably agree. Like, give him some games. If he's woeful, he's woeful, but he needs to have something different. Nketiah slowly got a little bit of form. I wouldn't say he had form, but he was definitely better than he was. So it's important. Who am I phoning?
No, that's Eddie's.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I thought you wanted us to call you on Babe Station. I don't know what you were asking for.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you've all missed Neil's rant going on.
Can we talk about Spurs?
And on and on and on. Yes, we can, when I decide to. But for now, you still haven't mentioned who would be that signing for Arsenal that would
Rabiot and Fekir.
Rabiot is a fan signing. It was, give me a break.
No, Fekir would be the fan signing, but I think Rabiot would be a great signing for the midfield. He'd be decent signing in that, and then they could get rid of Xhaka for a while. And now Nani.
Oh, that's true. I'm surprised. I thought Roma wanted that guy. Yeah, but anyway, we shall see. Well, there you go. Moving on to the other not London club. The patience in this.
We're just all excited. We've not spoke for 4 weeks about football, right?
You just want to talk. Okay, Spurs. And I start with Dunk. Perisic, Fraser Foster, Bissouma, Richarlison, and of course, Lenglet on loan from Barcelona. My question to you is, they're in the Champions League, so they have a bigger squad, which is all good. Where's Richarlison going to play, though?
Yeah, tough one. Unless he's going to be looking to maybe rest Kane a bit or utilize him deeper in some games. You probably look like you can't drop Son from that team, so you got to look at him. He's going to be maybe playing on the right instead of Kulusevski, maybe rotating those two. But again, it's like a 60 million signing. Like, what? I don't know how. I don't know. I'm not Conte. I don't know how he's going to shoehorn all of those players into his system and keep them all happy, because you can't see him playing them every game.
Because you might say Kulusevski might be the one, but surely if they're going to drop a forward kind of winger, Perisic might come in, Big Steve, instead of Richarlison.
Yeah, but Perisic is. I haven't seen much of him last season, but is he someone that's past his best? Who knows? How's he going to do in the Premiership, a high-paced league compared to Italy? So to me, it's a good name to sign, but how he's going to do in the league is going to be interesting to see. The Richarlison one, I don't understand for the fee that they paid for him, in the fact that it's 60 million and where it's not obvious as to where he's going to play. Because not say Kulusevski had a poor season last season, he came in done really well. So how does he break into that forward three, or is he going to change it?
Well, Spurs have made good buys. Can't deny it. Fraser Foster, backup keeper, really good. Bissouma, midfield to come and help, Champions League. But Richarlison, we don't see him benching Kane. Perisic, we don't know what he's going to be able to, break in. Neil, you called the Bissouma one. Do you think he walks into that midfield as a starter?
I would walk into that midfield as a starter. Like that.
I like when Neil says things like, "Yeah, these players, surely, don't get me wrong, they're better than me."
I walk into them.
Of course, they're better than you.
You don't see me play. Absolute baller. It's a bit past it now.
So he gets in. You guys think Bissouma walks in and gets
his
in
work rate? His work
rate
rate is just phenomenal, right? And I think that's what they were lacking in the centre of that park. I think when Conte came in, he did a really good job of just freshening up and kind of making the best of what he had. And I think that was a genius masterstroke from him. And I think he's been rewarded in the transfer market for that. Maybe a little bit late, but I think what he did with that group of players was phenomenal, considering where they were and what they've gone. Spurs have got rid of a lot of players, maybe a lot of younger players that most of us had never heard of before, but they have also got rid of Bergwijn and Carter Vickers to access 30 odd million in for them. Richarlison, no brainer for them. Like, how many times have they signed the striker that's just rubbish? Right, they've beyond rubbish. Like they've had, and Kane has just had to play game after game after game, and if he's not playing, they've got no striker. At least they've got a striker now who can play left, right, or centre. And anyway, almost like Jesus, 60 minute snip. It's not a lot of money now. You're talking of football. He's still 17 million less than Pepe. Like it's not a lot of money, and well, I don't know what. 15 million less than Maguire. So like it's a snip of a price, right? Even if he doesn't get you 30 goals, because he's not going to be playing that way. But as a work rate and his quality of football and his desire, let's think he was still a standout player in that Everton team last season that was absolutely awful. And to move from that team where they were to get a £60 million, you've got to have some faith in that player, right? So imagine him finally playing in a decent team and around players with some quality, some heart and some desire. And for a manager that ain't going to stand for any rubbish at all. Like if he ain't done it, he just won't play him at all. That will be as simple as that.
Will he stop him rolling around on the floor then?
Oh, no, because he's Italian, man. That isn't going to stop, is it? They'll probably be together cuddling at the same time. But the Perisic, that was peculiar, but he's 33, he's free. Maybe he's on a different deal that's just pay per game. I don't know. Bit of experience for the younger players. He knows the system. So they're all positive. The amount of games that they now have to play and the 5 sub rule, that means he's going to get more game time, even if it's just 30 minutes at the end of a game, 20 minutes, just to take the pressure off. If you think of like that many subs that they can now have, Kane could play 60 minutes per game and be rested, and Richarlison could play 30 minutes. But that is a lot of rest that they can get, and having that many subs is really, really going to help. And maybe Conte is already thinking of this. How are we going to game manage the time? We know Kane, we don't want him to drop back too deep because that doesn't help the rest of the team, right? So we'll just take him off, or and that will save him up. We've got a World Cup as well, so players are going to get even more tired than they usually would come January time. So no brainer for me. Absolute great sign. I'd have him on Grassroots chats.
The angry one. The key question here for the Tottenham fans want to know: what happens to Troy Parrott and Dane Scarlett? Are we not going to see them anytime soon? Everybody wants to know. This silence, when are they going to make this team? We've been waiting for at least 3 seasons now.
We will have to ask our Tottenham correspondent.
Yeah, we'll probably have to ask him at some point. We'll send him this message. But the argument, do you agree with... So, usually people look at the price tags of Richarlison, and Neil has made a good point. 5 subs, more games to play, could rest Kane. But would Kane want to be rested? Will Richarlison fit into the system and play through the middle? Is it just a case of he was just trying to booster his squad?
Nah, I will not for 60 million. You don't boost up for 60 million. I think, well, unless you're City, I think he's going to play on the right. And they'll just play Son, Kane, and Richarlison. Oh, and when Kane's not playing, then he can play down the middle because he can play across the front 3. So from that aspect, Neil's right a little bit in terms of value for money. I still think they paid a little bit over the odds, but 50 million and you pay 60. It's not. I mean, I can't talk because Pepe. I can't say shit to nobody about overpaying anybody. So, I think it's for what he can bring to Spurs is a good signing. That's a formidable front three now instead of a front two. And then also, so the Perisic is on the bench, but he can come on and do a bit. He's got experience. They claw some money back by selling Bergwijn. Basuma's going to be a beast in that middle for them. Yeah, they've bolstered the squad quite nicely. To be fair, I don't think.
Okay, just to round this up, at least on the transfer situation.
Langley,
yes,
I don't know if
ladies and gentlemen, other clubs have bought other players, but we were just talking about the key ones and key impacts in the league.
They've done all right.
But I really need to know, because the name has popped up a few times. And especially with the Arsenal fans not thinking that, underwhelming, apart from Dunk, that is the positive. So let me start with Dunk. Dunk, what's going to happen with Nicolas Pepe?
What?
Do you think he's going to be given a chance? Do you think they'll sell
He's
him?
dead.
Do you
He's
think he
washed.
will
He's
actually have
Like, I don't know. Like, I haven't been following his career massively closely. Like, I'd ask the other guys there, like, what kind of game time did he get last season? Yeah, I don't like. He's not really doing much. It might be. I don't know if Arteta still wants to use him as a squad player, as cover, but like he's got to be on huge wages, considering the amount of money he costs. So maybe they're kind of like stuck with him. They can't shift him out. Maybe they've tried, and he's just kind of a really expensive utility player at the minute.
I mean, Big Steve, at some point, El Neni was going to leave the club. And then for some reason, U-turn, Arteta gave him a chance. Now he's one of his players. Do you think that could happen for Pepe?
No. I think the fact that they're trying to get Rafinha, if they did get that sign, I think they would have got rid of Pepe. If they can get someone in, I think they will do. If they can get him out, if they can get someone to buy him, then yes, they'll move him on.
So, the angry one, dead, buried, gone, finished. Any guy.
Yeah, but I think
why can't we loan him out? Why can't we loan this geezer out? I just don't understand.
And
he's
then
not
they
playing.
shift everyone else on.
We've got Marquinhos in now. I don't know if he's good or not.
Loan systems. Say again. I don't know. I think this is the first transfer window where we generally say we'll try and move him on. I think
but we haven't
wanted him to move on
for years now.
In terms of the club,
we haven't wanted Pepe.
This is the first transfer window where they can say, yeah, if we can sell him, all good. If not, we'll send him out on loan.
Anything to add, Mr. Hinder?
No, he's just one of those ones that went wrong. They bought a player, they gave him a big old contract, about 140 grand a week, 5-year deal. He's 3 seasons into it. He's got 2 left. I think that's the problem of getting him out. Where do they recoup? It's just not gone great. But he hasn't, to his credit, probably had enough game time to warrant that price tag to begin with. And it was just a bit of a bad situation for him, unfortunately. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Yeah, but Maguire's still there. They still going to play Maguire. Build a team around him.
Maguire's playing.
Yeah, they're still plugging away with that. That's 70 million. I'd be like, oh man, this is just awkward.
Maguire situation, isn't it?
I think one thing we've seen though Arsenal over the last couple of seasons is that if they have, when they're ready, prepared to cut their losses, they will cut them. So I think if they have to take a hit on the Pepe deal,
yeah, but they're not going to pay him off. Not 140 grand a week.
No. I think in terms of selling him to another club,
yeah, but
they wouldn't ask him for a huge fee.
Yeah, but he would want to be paid off because no one paying him 140 grand a week. It's not like Ronaldo.
I reckon so.
Well, we were going, he might go down onto less weight.
I reckon he'll at least get over 100.
Where?
Providing you don't ask for a big transfer fee.
100 grand.
A lot of clubs not in the Premiership.
What, Championship? 100 grand a week.
No.
What, based on his current form? Who would take him?
Italy.
Apart from his old club.
Vanarama North.
£20 million plus someone else. Plus, it would 20 million deal.
What, France?
He would get 100 grand a week.
I don't know what you're on today, Steve, but 140.
No, you're looking at the guy.
He's going at the end of his contract, right? That's as much as it will happen.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I've got some really important information that everyone's been waiting to hear.
Stagnant, stinking out the place for another 2 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
Zinchenko. All right, because you were debating earlier, right?
Yeah.
So the guy can play everywhere: left back, wing back, right attacking forward, left attacking forward, midfield, defensive midfield. Literally, he can play anywhere apart from striker, goalkeeper, and right back.
So there's nowhere then, basically.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, transfer window. We have had a look. We have spoken about the toxic situation of Man United, and of course, to end on a sad note,
it's simple.
I'll start with the Arsenal boys. Jack Wilshire retired at 30. Did he reach his potential, Big Steve? Do you think, if not for the injuries and being unlucky, he should have been at least one of the best English midfielders?
He would have. He definitely didn't reach his potential because of injury. He was refreshing when he burst onto the scene, and if he probably stayed injury free, he probably could have gone on to become one of the best English midfielders in recent history because of one thing that stood out of him. His playing style was different. He liked the ball. He liked to carry the ball like in little tiki taka kind of football. So he was a good player, and apart from injury, he would have been could have gone down as a great.
His playing style kind of reminds me of maybe a Jack Grealish in the middle, holding the ball, not afraid to take on players and then have some good assists. But with the injury thing, he seemed to be okay at West Ham or seemed to be like he was going good. But did the signs start showing when he couldn't make it at Bournemouth, Dunk?
Yeah, I think if you can't make it at Bournemouth, then it's probably not looking too good. Like he had injuries, but like I think there was an attitude and a lifestyle thing. There was always photos of him boozing it up and smoking fags, and like it's the whole. Reminds me of that situation where you like compare Rooney to Ronaldo, where like they were both amazing as youngsters, and Ronaldo's still at the top level, and Rooney declined, quick enough at that top level. I'd say there's a bit of that as well, but yeah, it's a bit disappointing because he obviously was a class player in his time.
So, well, with the injuries and all that, and Mr. Hinder, you did mention the possibility of him actually joining one of the newly promoted teams, and now he's done. Do you see him going on to like coaching, management, or media? What's next for Jack Wilshire?
I mean, it's a sad state of affairs, really. He's like 30. He's a baby. In his Twitter post, he does thank Big Dunk. So you've always been there for him in a rock. So fair play, Big Dunk, on that side of things, and then throwing him on the bus 2 seconds ago with your comments of him drinking and getting bit at Bournemouth. He'll be pleased about that one. He's been linked with a coaching role at Arsenal. I think he's always had that thing about him, hasn't he? I think that's one of the reasons why he was so loved as a football player. His attitude wasn't, football is my life. He had a life outside of football. He had a big personality. I think that's what endeared him to the fans. He wasn't boring. He did like a pint and he did smoke. Like, he was one of the lads from that point of view. Maybe if he had a different approach to life, maybe he'd still be playing. But he did have some horrific injuries. I imagine they took his toll. He did have a lot of faith from the managers that he had it in him and around him, in him as a player. So it's sad that he's had to retire at the age of 30. It's probably one of the bravest things that I've seen in football in a long time. And I mean that because you see a lot of ex-pros or pros carry on and they're playing in obscure leagues. They're not playing at the same levels as you think they could. They're definitely better than that, but it's just gone wrong. And then they're carrying on playing, and they've had this quality legacy that everyone looks back with fondness of how good they were, and then you find out they're playing for Macclesfield on like £110 a week and a goal scoring bonus of 30 quid, and then you're like, if you just retired, man, it'd have been brilliant. And I think maybe Wilshire's taken that approach now. He can enjoy himself outside of football. The pressure's off. He hasn't got to worry about finding a team. That must be awful, waking up going, where am I going to go? He went to Denmark. The media was cynical. He's gone there for publicity. Maybe he went there for a quiet life and just to try and rebuild himself and get away. When you're as good as Jack Wilshere, you're always going to have that element, though, of why have you gone there and why have you not? Things haven't worked out. Quality football player in his peak, though. Like, did he reach? Yeah, he did reach as good as he probably could have got, but it wasn't long enough. I think that's probably the only thing that everyone will say is that actually, if he'd carried on when he was at his best, then that would be it. I do worry about ESR going down the same route as him, bursting on, going out, and then just not ever maintaining that level in there. It's a big reach. At least it's not around, right? No, I do. I kind of feel that like
that's a reach.
Jack Wilshire was from that group of players, though, wasn't he? Like at Arsenal at that particular point, and he had everything. And I think that he was one of the best football players that I've seen. He's not on the next level, but as a football player with the ball at his feet, his passing, he tackled, he didn't mind. He was a real good quality football player that suffered from injuries. Sad day at 30 to retire, but nice to be able to retire at 30 as well.
The angry one, Jack Wilshire.
Yeah, I mean, he's done the right thing, innit? Because if you can't play at the level you used to play, or at least close to the level you used to play, you shouldn't debase yourself by then going and playing and just being seen as a waste man somewhere else. You need to keep your integrity. And he knew that he couldn't. Well, I presume he knew he couldn't do it. There's no point, like Neil says, playing for just any team just for the sake of playing. It's embarrassing. So he made that decision now. He can forget about that and move forward with media and coaching, whatever he wants to do, and create a new legacy. And we'll all still remember him fondly as the player that he was, even though that's been probably 10 years or so since he was that good. But still, we still remember him as that. He went on the route of going and playing.
I can't see him being a coach. Like, I don't think he's
be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Who wants that? I don't even want that. I'm not a professional footballer. So,
but in a way, he's lucky. Like he was a Premier League footballer when all the money was there. So if he's looked after it, then he shouldn't.
But it might be like under 21, under 17s or whatever, like the youth team coaches or something like that. Or
Jack Wilshire, we wish you all the best. If you ever want to jump on Grassroot Chats, please do. Yeah. Donk will love to have you and share a pint with you. And stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. If you have listened to us this far, we shall be back with more content, more discussions about football. Till then, please hit that button, follow us on YouTube and all our socials at Grassroot Chats. All content can be found on www.grassrootchat.com. It's been 4 weeks, but Mr. Hinder still rants. Dunk has become a bit more positive. Big Steve was on something today that nobody knows, according to everybody else. And the angry one just doesn't understand why Zinchenko should play anywhere else other than left back. So till next time, it's goodbye from Big Steve.
Bye.
Goodbye from the angry one. Goodbye from
left back, man.
Mr.
Come
Hinder.
on, guys. Let's be realistic. Jesus.
Goodbye from
Well,
Dunk.
since I'm last, more things.
Yeah, ladies.
Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. More tunes.